welcome back to the dinner table, more like the breakfast table today, because we have Monika Czinano, who's in Budapest, Hungary. Monika, what time is it over there?
It is 2:30, so afternoon for me.
So the lunch table for Monika.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Monika, thank you so much for joining us. And just a little background on Monika right here. She's a former Iowa basketball star. I'm sure many people know who this is. It's been so much fun watching you over the years. She had over 2,000 career points for the Hawkeyes, a 4-time first team All Big Ten player. Also just incredibly efficient, breaking a record for single game field goal percentage. You went 11 of 11 from the field against Michigan State. So you've done it all. You played in the national championship game just last year with Iowa. So that is Monika. And now you're in Budapest, Hungary. Can you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how your overseas career is going?
Yeah. Well, I actually started my overseas career with Chloe. I moved here in September, and it's been a really cool experience so far. Honestly, I never kind of imagined this for myself. Like all my career, I was like, okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? And I just thought I was going to like go start a 9-to-5 job kind of after I got done and graduated. But I'm so lucky that this kind of experience opened up for me. And I just feel like it's such like a loophole in sports. Like it's such a unique thing that we get to go do. So it's been really fun. It's been interesting learning the style of play. It's way different here. Even some of like the certain rules are tweaked. So it's just been a really cool learning experience, I would say. I would totally do it over again. It hasn't been the easiest, obviously. Like being away from home for 8 months is not for the weak, let me tell you. But it's been really cool so far.
So basically, when we were overseas, it was like 5 different bridges, I believe, in Budapest, right? So I was like off of one bridge, and then Monika was like a couple bridges over. Like that's how I basically like thought about where we were. But when I first came in, the only person I knew that was going over there was Monika, because she played with McKenna Warnock, who obviously I played with for AAU. She goes, oh my gosh, like my teammate Monika is heading over there too. And so I'm like, okay, like I'll probably see her. Like I hope we can meet up, like not sure. The literal first day that I was there, we go to the doctor's appointment and I walk up and run into Monika, and I was like, hi, like I'm Chloe. Can we like actually be friends? Because I have no idea what I'm doing here. So Monika ended up being like the best thing for me, because I was like, oh my gosh, it was so nice to have some like comfortability and someone you know.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, McKenna texted me like, hey, a friend's moving there. I'm like, okay, I'll see her once. Maybe I'll play against her twice. And then I was literally like, what are the odds? And it's so nice to like meet somebody from the Midwest too, because you can just like tell when somebody's from the Midwest in like the first 10 seconds of like meeting them. And I was like, oh, like thank God, like somebody's gonna understand like the Midwest nice and like the words and everything. I'm like, oh, it's so nice.
I love it.
I figured you were from the Midwest, Monika. I was like, I could tell right away when you jumped on the screen. What state are you from?
I'm from Minnesota.
Okay, gotcha. Neighbors.
I love that.
Neighbors.
Okay, so last year you go to the national championship game with Iowa, and you lose to LSU in the championship. So to watch Iowa take down LSU this time around, take us through your emotions and feelings.
It was so sweet to watch, like to see everything kind of play out, and like the whole day. I mean, for me, the game was on, I think it was like at 1 a.m. And so the whole day I'm just like stomach hurts, like feeling like so anxious for them. And I'm like, I'm not even playing in this game. Like, why am I feeling like this? But it was so nice because I had utter belief in them and I knew they could do it. But when you get to this point in the tournament, I feel like it's all just kind of about who's hitting too. Like when we played LSU, I mean, they shot way over their 3-point percentage. So it was just like that kind of day for them, kind of a thing. Like that's not on the scout. So I knew it was going to be something like that. And then obviously Caitlin like almost ties the 3-point record and everything. So it was so cool to see that and just to know that like that's what they're capable of.
Monika, I love hearing that, because I'm sure, as obviously you just got done playing, you're very familiar with all your teammates that play for Iowa. And like to hear that you had your stomach turning in the morning, like before the game, is awesome. But did you have any communication with any of your former teammates before the game? And have you been communicating with them this season?
Oh yeah, I'll always like. I remember how stressful it was like after a big game or something, like how many messages you get and like all that type of stuff. So normally I'll text them in like a group chat or something, just like everybody sees it, and then I'll truly like wait a day or two and be like, that was so fun, or like tune in that way. But I can't even imagine too, like every year the game just keeps growing and growing and growing. And so it's like how many people reached out last year was insane. Like I can't even imagine how many people reach out this year. But I'm so lucky that we're like so close knit that even if I'm not reaching out like every game, every day, like there's not even a question in my mind like that I will always have that relationship with them. But for sure, as these games come down, like I'm always texting like, you guys got this, like all this type of stuff in the group chats.
Yeah.
So now that they're in the Final Four, 2 games left until the national title. I mean, how do you even describe what it would be like if they could get it done this year?
Oh my gosh, that would be like a dream come true. It's so surreal that I almost like know part of how this all works, but like I'm not there anymore. So that's been
Right.
kind of like a weird experience. Like I know what you do at the Final Four. Like you do all these things and whatever, and all these events that they're going to. I'm like, oh, I remember doing that too. So that's like a little bit kind of weird for me to not be there with them doing it. But I just know like it's such a big goal for them. And I know so many people when McKenna and I left kind of thought that because we had started together for so long that like it's never going to be the same kind of a thing. And it's just really cool to see and really impressive of like Lisa Bluder and the coaching staff to be able to kind of put together this team that might not have played together for as long, but are still doing great things. And I mean, we didn't get anybody out of the portal too. And like, that was a hot topic for a while. So it's cool to see these younger people step in that like us on the team always knew that they had it in them, but they didn't really get the opportunity to show everyone. So it's been super cool. And if they could get it done, like I would be their number one.
I know that
them.
Kate Martin is one of your best friends, and she's had a phenomenal season this year, and she's really been that kind of the glue for the team all of her years. But this last year, she's now turned into a little bit more of a scorer. People are looking at her and making sure that she's guarded at all times. So kind of like, what's your thoughts on Kate Martin, and how proud of you are you of her?
Oh, I'm so proud of her. Like her game just, I feel like has expanded so much more. And we kind of talked about it before the season is like, it's kind of nice that McKenna and I are leaving because like the ball, only one person can score the ball at the time. So like we knew we had all these capable people, but there isn't obviously like enough of a game to go around for everybody to kind of get their moment. And so just seeing her kind of step into that role, and you could just see her confidence building too, with every game. And it's just been so great because I love like, I was a back to the basket post, am a back to the basket post. And so like, I truly love watching like all around players who can just do basically whatever they want. And Kate falls in that category. So I love watching her play. I love like seeing the grit she kind of has. Like, it's just, I think that's the reason why so many people watch Iowa too, is obviously Caitlin is like in a different world, but there are other people that like keep you watching.
I thought one thing, Monika, that I've watched a lot of Iowa this year, but especially in that game against LSU recently, I thought the way that the girls ran the floor for you guys was like something that I was almost expecting LSU to kind of get out, and obviously they have a bunch of athletes on their team, and I think a lot of times Iowa's more known for their shooting and physicality than you guys are for running up and down the court. And I thought the main reason why you guys beat LSU is you guys seem to be in really good shape, and Caitlin was getting that ball up to the court to Hannah Stuelke, right? That's how I pronounce
Stuelke,
it.
Yeah.
And she's running up and down, and is that something that you guys work on a lot in practice? And how much running and stuff do you guys do in preparation to just make sure you're in that shape to outrun people during those games?
Yeah, it's so much. And I honestly think that, and I like, my sister plays at Minnesota, and so like I've heard some of her practices and stuff, but we do a lot of running like in the preseason, and that is definitely emphasis. Like I remember when I first got to Iowa, like as a freshman, like getting yelled at by Coach Jay, like not fast enough. And I'm like, I'm running as fast as I can. Like I can't do anymore. But part of me thinks it's like our coaches are so smart with our bodies that like we're not doing a lot of running in practice like during the season because we want to be able to do that during games. So I think that that's like another thing with our coaching staff is just being so smart about how we're practicing day in and day out. So preseason, like it's terrible. I mean, any college athlete will tell you that, like, it's not a fun time, but the way that I was able to run the floor, I think was huge for them because it's a really strong suit for our team. And Caitlin's ability to pass again is like, she's just crazy, truly.
Monica, I'm wondering if you can take me through like the personalities of this starting five and
Oh,
the different roles that they play for this team.
yeah. So I think first of all, so I'll go through the starting five. So Caitlin she's like a younger sibling. It's almost weird that she's an upperclassman now because like the way she acts is like if you give your little sibling like sugar, like a pixie stick, and they're just like running all around. Like she has so much energy. She like makes all of those like jokes where you're like, really, like that's the joke we're gonna make. But so it's so cool to see her like almost transform on the court. But I think she almost like needs that release because she has to be so like look, her interviews are like so adult. Everything she does is like so professional. And then around the team, she's just literally a goofball, like truly. And I think that she like feeds that into other people. So like I could say the same thing, like the goofballness for everybody on the starting five, but it's almost like Caitlin is like the instigator of it. So she like gets everybody going. But I would say Kate's pretty similar with that, but Kate has the like mama bear mentality. So like she can be funny and stuff, but like once we take it too far, like Kate will let you know. Like she'll be like, okay, done. And everybody is like, okay, it's over. Like time's over. So that's kind of the role she has. And obviously everybody calls her the glue, but she's like that in her life too. Like what you see on the basketball court, like bringing people together, checking on them. Like she is one of the most caring individuals that I've ever been around. Sydney's like Caitlin too. Like I feel like I can say with everybody, but she's just such a goofball. Like
Everybody's just goofing around.
yeah, everybody's goofing around. Like I'm just thinking like we tried to bench press each other one time. Like there's just so many things that are like Caitlin will make a half court shot and like rip her jersey off and like run around or like waving it in the air. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'd say the one that's like a goofball, but a little bit different is Hannah Stuelke's honestly really quiet if you were to meet her and a little bit more subdued. But again, like once you kind of get around your people, like things change. Yeah. So she's also super funny and stuff. And then Addie O'Grady, again, a little bit shy, but so analytical. She's so fun to talk to and so fun to kind of banter with. But she's one of the smartest people I know. And you can like tell when you're talking to her, like, okay, this person is like thinking out of my league. Like this person like is analyzing and thinking and everything. So I'm lucky to be able to call all of them friends. Like they're all so great.
What's Gabby like?
Oh, Gabby is also okay. Gabby's a little bit more like Kate, I would say, like got that serious vibe to her. But everybody respects everything Gabby's gonna say. Like she's crazy. She's the one that's gonna like Caitlin's gonna make the jokes, but Gabby's gonna like dance and sing and like do that kind of a thing. But yeah, I think that they're all just like so crazy. Like if I had to give you like one word to describe that starting five of that team, it would like be crazy.
What role did you play in all of that, Monika? Were you Mama Bear as well?
I was not. I like kind of left that to Kate. I feel like I like could be Mama Bear if I needed to, but mostly I was just like having fun. I was like dancing with Caitlin and stuff like that. I was like,
you're a goofball too.
Yeah, honestly, kind of going crazy.
It's important though. I mean, there's like so much, pressure in a sense on a team like you had last year, a team this year. It's the same type of thing. You guys have so many people watching you, so many little girls, little boys from all over the country and the world. I know like people from Budapest were super excited to hear about what Caitlin was doing and Monika coming to their city. So I think that adds a lot of pressure. And so for the fact that you guys can laugh and goof around with each other definitely loosens it up. And I bet, do the coaches kind of encourage that?
Oh yeah. I think Caitlin too, like until Caitlin got there, our coaching staff, like we were really close with them, but it was like almost like, I don't want to say like just a respect relationship, but there wasn't like a whole bunch of like that banter and stuff with your coaches. And then Caitlin got here and just kind of like smashed that door down. And now obviously there's so much respect for our coaches, but like now we have like inside jokes with our coaches, like all these types of like little things that like we know more about them. It just kind of, I feel like made that relationship a lot better through her being like herself and just being carefree and doing whatever it is that Caitlin does. But yeah, for sure. I think that was a huge thing for all of us to have a place where like we didn't have to almost be, I don't want to say we didn't have to be role models, but like we knew that nobody was like looking at us and like watching our every move or like trying to analyze like what we were doing. So that was really big for us. And I think it almost allowed us to go further, like that team chemistry.
Kind of talking a little bit about role models. So
Mhm.
obviously when you were an underclassman, you were looking up to Megan Gustafson, who was obviously a phenomenal player, college player of the year. And now can you kind of think the same way without Hannah Stuelke maybe saw you a little bit and played against you in practices? And what is your relationship with Hannah, and kind of talk about how proud you are of her and what she's gotten to now?
Yeah, I loved playing with Hannah, truly. I looked up to Megan so much. Like, she taught me so much about work ethic and stuff. But with me and Megan, it was almost like I was like, I don't want to say trying to copy her, but like I needed to like adopt the style of her game. And like that was what I would taught. But with Hannah, it was so much different. Like, I could teach her some things, but it was so fun playing with her because we didn't play the same. Like, she's not a true back to the basket five. Like, she's going to drive. She's got like this crazy explosiveness on rebounding that I truly like just didn't have. And so it was so much fun to play with her and kind of see her grow into that. And I think even just from last year to this year, like you can see the confidence shift, and that comes with everybody, like freshman to sophomore year, like no matter what. But just seeing her step into that role on such a big team. Like last year, she really didn't have to play the five that much, and now here she is, like playing the five for us, doing all these things. So it's just her. She's the whole package, and so that's why I really loved playing with her and stuff. But yeah, her relationship, it's so fun. I'm honestly sad I only had 1 year with her, because I would have loved to see like the growth in her personality too. Like, obviously I'm not there every day, but I can even see it like through messaging and stuff that it's so rewarding to see like your teammates kind of like embrace themselves and their personality in college. Because that's what everybody's doing, not just college athletes, but like you're finding yourself, whatever. And it's cool to see that translate in basketball too.
Monica, it seems like there's so much pressure on this team, and I know you talked about that a little bit. Like, you didn't have a ton of pressure when you were there until maybe the end of your career, but I mean, Caitlin, the camera's on her at all times, and the entire team. How do you feel like they're handling that?
I think they do a really good job. I know that when I was there, and I can't imagine it's changed, like there's a lot of meetings that are had behind closed doors that are talking about like management of that pressure. Like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Like, I know social media is such a big thing nowadays. So a lot of my teammates last year chose to just like delete it or get off of it and kind of live in the moment. But I think that they understand that if they want to get to where they want to be, like that comes with managing this. Like, it truly is such a big part of today's game. Like, you can't be looking at Instagram comparing your game to somebody else's, because like you're never going to be satisfied. So I know that they have a lot of those meetings, and I just remember like my whole career, like with either with Megan or Caitlin, like we've always kind of had a superstar on our team. And so there's even conversations about that, like playing with somebody who is drawing so much attention, and learning that like when the spotlight shines on Caitlin, like it can't just shine on Caitlin, it shines on all of us. And that's like a big, big message that we have.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing I loved when you were playing at Iowa, Monica, is the way that you and Caitlin ran that pick and roll. You guys, it seemed like you would run into it hard. You always set a hard screen, but the way you rolled out of it and were always ready to catch a pass from Caitlin because it was coming from you from every angle and it's coming at you hot. Is that something obviously you guys worked on in a bunch, but like, was there specifics to that maybe coming from high school that you learned at Iowa with her, and then just playing with her, like how to be ready to catch all those passes?
Oh, quite honestly, I got hit in the head like a couple times in practice. Like, I'm thankful that nobody really saw those clips, but I just remember like literally getting hit in the face or like something happening. Like, all right, like that's a learning moment. Like, that pass is going to be coming, and it was such a struggle. Like during that COVID year too, that was the year I feel like Caitlin and I like really just had to like it was a learning year for all of us. Like, I really had to figure her out and figure out her game and her style. And I just remember like we were playing, I think it was Kentucky in I want to say it was the Sweet 16. But I remember like running down in transition, and I was thinking like, there's no way she just passed that. Like, there's no. And I was like, oh, I should look just to be sure. And I looked, and the ball was like 2 inches from my face. And like, I thankfully was able to catch it. But I remember being like, okay, like that was really good. Like, you're learning. Like, here we go. So it was nice that to be able to have that year, especially like for me, it was a COVID year. So like not that many people got to see it in person. So not many people got to see me like fumbling or trying to figure it out. But I think I'm so lucky that I had all those years with her, because once you kind of get her style down, it's so fun to play with because you know she's going to make the right read every time, no matter what.
What part of her game leaves you the most in awe?
I truly would say like her shooting is obviously crazy, but I love watching her like long transition passes. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like people, if you don't play basketball, you don't understand how hard those passes are to make, like hitting your post or whoever is like in stride, in rhythm. So every time I see her make one of those passes, and she had a couple really great ones against LSU, like it just blows me away. I'm like, that is so impressive every time.
She had a really nice
Now I know why your bigs run all the time.
Yeah, for real.
she had a really nice one to her brother in the stands after the game. That people were talking about. They were like, wait, did we not just talk about how impressive the pass was to her brother in the stands after the game?
I love how she had the confidence, like, oh, I'm not going to hit anyone. Like, let's just launch this. Like, because if she would have hit somebody in the head, like, that's going to end up on ESPN. So she had to, like, be really, really smart with it.
And also, like, that's an important basketball. She's just throwing like no turnovers on that pass. So no one just steals it.
Yeah. She keeps every basketball too. Like, I wonder if she's got some, like, master plan going on, because I've noticed, like, every game somehow she finds the ball and like is throwing it to her family. So I'm wondering if she's gonna have like a man cave one day and we're gonna have like 40 basketballs like all in a line or something. Because she's thinking about it. She doesn't tell anybody, but somehow she always ends up with the basketball.
Well, she's broken so many records, so you have to have like scoring record. Like you have to keep all the balls.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. She's gonna need a big basement for those.
I just have another question about Caitlin and what it's like, what you've learned the most just playing alongside her, and how you've seen her grow as well during her time at Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, I think the growth aspect definitely was when she came in, and people have touched on this before, but she just, I feel like never had to rely on anyone else really. Like she was able to do everything herself in high school and AAU and put up the numbers, and like if they lost, so be it, like that kind of a thing. But I don't think she was ever really around people who cared about the sport as much as she did. I mean, you can't even blame people in high school and AAU. Like not everybody has that same drive. But then when she got to college, and we all had been putting in the same amount of work, obviously she's like crazy with it, but like going to the practices, weight room, all that kind of stuff, we wanted it the same amount. So I feel like it was a learning curve for her to be able to be like I need to pass up this good shot for a great shot. And like, if that great shot doesn't go in, then like, so be it, kind of a thing. So that was a huge learning curve, I feel like, for her. And I think you can see that in her assist numbers too. Like the way her assist numbers have just skyrocketed, and like that comes with trust with your teammates. So I think that was the biggest growth aspect I've seen from her. But I think the biggest things I've learned from her go like off the basketball court. Like I've just learned like composure more than anything. Like you'll never see her like she's going to do what she wants to on the court, but like in those meetings afterwards, like the second she steps off the court, like her level of composure in the public eye and like her decision making and stuff is truly insane. And I respect that so much. And I respect how she handles her business. Like I get to see her fun side, and then like it's all business on the basketball court. So I love the duality of that, because that is really hard to keep separate. Like it's hard to not let some of those things leak onto the court, and she does such a great job with it.
No, that's great. I love that. And one thing I love so much about the women's game right now is that the women stay around longer. So now you get to see these stars develop into stars, and you were a star when you were there. And now going into this Final Four, you have obviously Caitlin, but you also have Paige Beckers. You have, I know Juju just got knocked out, but all these other big time players who have hung around for at least like 2 to 3, 4 years. And we've seen them on TV now forever. And I know a big conversation this week was the 12.3 million viewers of the Iowa LSU game. It's just like so cool to see how big time this all is now. Can you speak to a little bit of like, and LeBron even touched about this last night, just the importance of staying around in college and not leaving too early, but then also like what that can do for you and your stardom and notoriety.
Yeah, I mean, I think just outside of the basketball, like getting a degree, no matter, I don't care if you're one and done in the NBA, like having a degree is such a great thing. So I think that's a huge flex, and that's a big thing to have. But I just think that having the experience, like I was just kind of thinking the same thing with Jared McCain. Like it just seemed like obviously I don't know him. I don't know anything about him, but it seemed like he had such like a great experience at Duke. And I'm like, it's kind of sad that you would leave that like and go on. You have all these great friends. Like I understand for the men's game, it's a little different because it's all about draft stock when you get to that point. But I just think that there's something to be said about having that college experience and like not rushing into adulthood so early. Like you can work for the rest of your life kind of a thing. So I'll never regret staying for my 5th year, like finishing all my 4 years. I think it's so much fun, and it also I think allows you to be better at basketball. Like you have that connection. Like I said, if Caitlin, I know it's not possible in the women's game, but if Caitlin would have done a one and done and like left, I would have never fully been able to play with her style, and like I wouldn't have gotten better because of that. So I think there's just something to be said about having all those experiences and having the ability to like make your best friends and do all these things with them. Like it's such a human experience. So I think that it's so important.
We talked a lot about loyalty too while we were over there, and just kind of that feeling of we were too loyal to leave the university. Like you loved Iowa so much, you stayed for all your 5 years. And how has that helped you now with your relationship with those coaches and your teammates back home? I think something for me is I look around and I'm like, wow, I will have these people for the rest of my life. And now you're in a different country, 7 hours ahead of them, and they're still there for you. And I think that speaks to your loyalty to them. So what's that like?
It's so amazing. Like always having that thing to fall back onto. Like you always have your family, but I have this another family basically that I have with me, and it truly doesn't matter. Like I haven't been away from them in 5 years. Like you spend so much time with them. So it was kind of like a trial by fire thing. Like I wonder how this is going to change when I get here. And it really hasn't at all. Like I don't think it will. I'm blessed with people who like understand the schedule. That's why it's so easy to be friends. I feel like with athletes is because they understand that like you can't call every day. Like you can't do all like things get busy. This time of the year is like so busy for them. I'm in playoffs, like things like that. But I just know I'll have these friends for the rest of my life. And so even when I see like on like Kate on TikTok, which is like really weird, but I'm like on like Iowa For You page right now. So like I'm seeing all these like edits from like my teammates, which is so odd. But even then it's like it's weird to even see them like that because I view them as like such great friends and stuff that it's like, oh yeah, you're also famous, like that too.
I'm excited to break down this Final Four with you. I feel like you could do this like whatever. I don't know when you give up basketball at some point. I feel like you could be someone who's like in studio talking about the game. You're just so well spoken and feel like I just feel like you know it so well. You and Chloe one day are going to be partners breaking down the game. Yeah. So just looking at this game against UConn, can you tell us what you think about the matchup, what the Hawkeyes need to do to advance?
Yeah, I mean, I think with UConn, especially because they don't have a lot of numbers. Like, I don't know how many people they have right now. I want to say it's like around seven or something.
I think they play 7 deep. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like mind blowing to me that they made it this far. But I think it's going to be big for the Hawks to use their size because we have a couple people on the bench that do have size and length, and they have Aaliyah Edwards. So like really trying to get her into foul trouble. Honestly, she's so good. Trying to exploit that. But the thing with UConn is they're so well coached that you have to be on for 40 minutes. Like there can be no let up. Every time we've played UConn, it's been like, oh, it was a really great game, except for those 3 minutes in the third quarter or whatever. And like, that's when they struck. So it's like, they're just like perfect in their decision making. I think that Gino does such a great job with them. So it's just like all hands on deck when you play UConn, truly. I don't know how I'm shocked like nobody's gotten in foul trouble for them and they've had like to really go deeper than 7, truly.
Yeah.
It's impressive. So they're just smart players, all of them. So it's going to be a battle of 40 minutes.
They were on the brink of some foul trouble in their last game with KK. Arnold got into some foul trouble, and then I forget their shooting guard's name, but she was in a little foul trouble early on, and they had to sit her. And then when she came back in the second half, she was actually kind of their spark. But you're like 100% right. And plus, it's two different styles. I mean, Iowa, the Hawks are going to try to get up and down, and UConn has been playing in these games that are like low 50s defensive battles. So it's going to be definitely two different styles going at it, which I'm going to be really excited to see. And plus, you have Paige going against Caitlin.
Which is always so much fun. Yeah, I feel lucky. Like I was no stranger to playing UConn too, so that's kind of nice. Like a lot of these players like have experience playing against each other, so they'll go in with a little bit of that. But again, I feel like when you get this far, it's also just like who's on what night and like how are people feeling. Like there's so many little things that go into it. So I'm just excited to be able to watch. Truly, I'm for sure. I think it's at 3 a.m. for me, and I will be waking up for sure.
What about the other side in that matchup?
South Carolina is actually like insane.
They're insane.
Truly, like
Right?
I just like watching them is mind blowing to me, but they have given up a couple like pretty significant leads. So I'd be watching to see if they get too comfortable at any point. Like that's when I feel like things start to slip up for them. So um that's what I'll be watching. But like watching Dawn coach is so much fun. Watching her players, like how are you supposed to guard Camilla? I'm sorry, but like that's literally impossible. Like I don't know what I remember in the national championship, they were like, or in the semifinals, they were like, just put your hand and like do that. I'm like, I'm not doing that on TV. Like I'm not gonna do that to her. So it's just so fun. And like NC State too, like I feel like those are more similar styles of play a little bit more than the Iowa UConn side. So that'll be kind of more of like a clash of similar forces, whereas the Iowa UConn is gonna be like, which one of these styles is gonna like come out on top type of a thing. So it's just like it's such an exciting time for women's basketball. Truly, like I feel bad, but like I couldn't even tell you who made it for the men. Like I don't know. I don't know what's happening over there. So I just am like locked in my lane, and I'm excited.
Yeah, we've been talking about how the ticket prices are just so much more for the women's side than the men's, which is crazy.
Yeah, they got to get us a bigger venue. Like I know that these decisions are made like so far in advance, but I'm like, come on, guys, like we need more seating. Like people can't afford these.
I think the bigger venue for the seating, but then also like it's still nice to play in an arena where you're like used to playing in, you know, because you play in these football size arenas for the men. Everyone's always talking about how their shooting goes way down
Yeah.
at these places.
That's actually true. I never really thought about that. But yeah, we need to find like a happy medium here where we can play in like an actual basketball arena.
I know. I was having this conversation with Trav the other day. There's like certain arenas that if there was like a 40,000 seat arena that you could play in, it'd be like perfect. That perfect medium.
Yeah, that would actually be perfect. Yeah, I'm also interested to hear like what people are thinking about the regional sites too, like having the same like just the two. I've heard like I think Stanford didn't like it. I'm interested to see kind of how people are feeling. I love like all of that kind of stuff. Like
what do you think?
I kind of liked having like more than two, truly. I think it's just a little bit more fun. And then you have things that come up like the 3-point line not being far enough back that it's just like so random.
That was so ridiculous.
That was so wild to me. That was almost as ridiculous as like last year when they played with the men's ball for like the first half of the game. I'm like, you didn't notice.
I forgot about that.
I know. And like no disrespect to those teams, but I'm like, you didn't notice that? Like I would have noticed that in 2 seconds, I feel like. But
the first time you touch the ball, it's obvious.
Yeah. So
the 3-point line though too is even almost crazier to me. Like I can't believe they played all those games with the 3-point line like that.
Yeah.
Because that's such a weird. I mean, I know it's not like necessarily an advantage, but obviously, like if you're playing maybe at the shorter side in the first half and you're having easier 3-point attempts from that angle and you take a lead, I could see that being an advantage. Because anytime you have the lead in the NCAA tournament, I feel like that's such a positive force, and even more so than the regular season. But like just the fact that I know you can't really fly a new court in at that time, but that was so weird.
That's so strange to me. I feel like stuff like that happens every year where I'm like, I don't understand how this is happening. But yeah, I personally liked the more than two regional sites, but I'm interested to hear like what my teammates say and everybody says once it's all said and done.
I just think like, okay, going into this NCAA national championship game, Final Four, what would be your number one like word of advice for your teammates heading into the game this weekend?
It's a good question. I think just to really soak it in. Like, and I know it's like so cliche. Everybody says that like it goes fast, but it really like, especially coming and playing in a completely different style. Like you can probably back me up on this. Like there's nothing like playing with a group of people that like you truly like understand inside and out. You know what they've put in, everything about them. Like having that atmosphere and going to battle with like even these coaches who, just truly like fully believe in you is is so different than I feel like anything you're going to feel. So, I mean, everybody tells them that, but truly just soak it in, have fun too, like all the moments in between. I think even if you go out or you lose, like you have all those experiences that are so fun. Some of my best memories are like after the LSU game or like after South Carolina, like it's such a special time for every athlete. So I would just tell them to soak it in.
I love it. Monika, thank you so much for joining us. You're the best. It was so interesting talking to you, and we just appreciate it. And we wish you the best in Budapest, and let us know when you're back.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good luck in the
Thank
playoffs.
you.
Thank you very much.